It's Thursday, April 27th, and we are live here on YouTube. It's 9 minutes past the top of the hour, and this is the Scandalous Scandal Recap, where we review our favorite show to watch on television. We have our own lexicon. We have our own way of hanging out and talking with each other, as well as you watching on YouTube. I am Larry Brown Jr., joined by my fantastic friend, the Janiyah Wright. Janiyah, how are you?
Hey, LBJ, I am doing so well. I have to say, this episode tonight, LBJ, it was good. I feel like, LBJ, I feel like we're back in season one. That's how good it was to me tonight.
Let me tell you, it's like we're back in season 1 and season 2 and half of season 3.
Yes.
If you guys are watching, thank you so much for watching us right now. If you see on the top of the screen right there, where it's the little yellow rectangle and it says LIVE, that means we are live. So thank you so much for being able to comprehend that you're watching us live on YouTube. As well as thank you so much for taking this time to go to Facebook, to Twitter, and share with your networks that you are participating in the Scandal Recap by using the hashtag Scandal Recap, and share the YouTube link so your friends can come and watch as well. Janiyah, as always, so by the way, we're waiting on Janiyah, everybody, for disclosure. And they knew in the chat, they were in the chat like, okay, what's going on? It wasn't Grayson's fault. If you're new to the chat, me and my wife just had a baby. His name is Grayson. Grayson was not the cause of us being late tonight. I was prepped. My studio was prepped and ready.
Okay. Well, LBJ, because I call you out every single time you're the reason we're late, I'm going to let this go.
Fantastic.
I'm going to let this go, LBJ.
Fantastic. But who also is going to let it go is our family members in the live chat. So shout out to Henry Leonga, who's here. Gigi Johnson, what's up, Scandalous fam? Happy to be back with you guys. I'm off tonight on work schedule. Shout out to Gigi Johnson's job for giving her the night off so that she can be a part with us. Can we get some applause? Is the applause queued up tonight, or is the applause? I think the applause has left the building. We have no more applause. That effect is gone from the platform.
Is it gone? Is that why I can't find it?
Exactly. The platform is dying out, everybody. But Normina's Harmony is here. Normina, by the way, Janiyah, got a tweet from your scandal boo, Marcus Walker. Take that, Janiyah. Robin B12 is here. The 20s book is here. Oh, hey, I finally made it in live, LBJ. It's KK. KK, what's up? How are you?
Oh,
KK,
my gosh.
KK is a CP too, Janiyah, as well. She was a pal after us, a few years after us, but KK's a pal. What's up, KK?
Hi,
Mrs. Creole Davis, the funny Mrs. Creole Davis. Janiyah, who else do we have with us tonight?
LBJ, the chat is so hot right now. Robin B12 is here. Our family, Dan Blakemore, Lakeisha Sings, Grace. Oh, did you already call out Miss Dory Lynn? Oh my gosh. Miss Dory Lynn, I'm so happy you're here. This is so exciting, LBJ. We have Deborah Battle here. And LBJ, your favorite person, this name we cannot consistently pronounce well.
Oh, and I'm so glad you're saying it tonight and not me, but we love you. Virtuosity. Yes. That's what I say. Virtuosity.
And LBJ, I want to tell you, I wrote myself a little note here, and I'm trying to find it because I wrote down the phonetic spelling so I would have it for all times.
It's all good. You find the phonetic spelling while I shout out to Kat Harlem.
Yes.
Kat Harlem was here. Did you shout out Iodine Matrix already? Marvis to Marvis. Dr. D. Hill. The good doctor's in the house, everybody. D. Hill. Coffee Light and Sweet is here, by the way. I had a Coffee Light and Sweet in your honor the other day. I sent Janiyah the picture of it.
She sure did.
I had a Coffee Light and Sweet. Christine Peel is here. Lakeisha Sings. What's up? Catherine Belger, you're here. Chef Morelli. Chef, we're so glad you're here. What did you have for dinner tonight, Chef? I'm curious. I cooked for the family. And we've got so many other. Love Prince Nelson's here, my cousin.
I cooked too tonight. I just wanted to let you know. On a Thursday night, I made Peruvian chicken in the slow cooker with jasmine rice and sauteed green beans.
That's fancy. Very, very fancy, Janiyah. Well,
thank you.
For our dinner tonight, and we got to jump into the episode. This has nothing to do
with
what we talk about. No. I talk about food at hashtag Eat with LBJ on Instagram. In case you want to talk about food with me, meet me on Instagram. However,
he's so good, by the way. LBJ is so good in the kitchen.
Thank you. But what I made for tonight's dinner was a garlic shrimp linguine pasta. That's a pasta. So I made a garlic shrimp linguine with fresh garlic, olive oil, a little butter, Parmesan, shrimp, and arugula. So we get the pepper flavor in there. And yeah, it was really, really good. That was our dinner tonight.
That
I was
sounds
going to
so
roast
good,
asparagus, but I
LBJ.
had a work call that I had to do. But we're here. Scandal was great. It was fantastic. We are so glad all of y'all are here. And to everyone who's watching in the after show, thank you so much for watching the after broadcast. Tonight was called Mercy, season 6, episode 12. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Look ahead, look ahead, look ahead. What did you think about tonight's episode? Let me tell you this. There is a moment in tonight that I want to save for the save towards the end of the conversation, or maybe we should build up to that. Because that to me was the scene of all scenes. That it shut down every single moment like that in television and film history. But tonight's episode to me was a precursor of the future episodes to come in this season, because it's about to go downhill from here. What was your overall take from the show?
Well, first of all, like I said at the open, LBJ, tonight's episode to me it's what got us hooked in the beginning. It is excellent writing. It is just, and I'm going to tell you what happened. So I actually was watching the show with a friend who doesn't really watch Scandal. And if you try to explain these twisty, ridiculous storylines to someone who doesn't watch the show, I mean, it is just it's so convoluted, but that's what makes it so good. LBJ, tonight's episode to me was Shonda giving it to us just the way we like it, and we just need to hop in because there is so much to discuss, LBJ. I mean, can we just start out with the opening scene? Olivia in bed with Fitz. I need to hear what the chat has to say about this. They're back at it again, LBJ. You kind of forecasted this.
It was like, damn, Daniel back at it again with the wet vans. Like, it was like that. Like, that's exactly what it was. It was like, oh, Fitz back at it again with the Navy t-shirt on Olivia. We see the Navy t-shirt being worn in the bed. You know, that was one of those things that, like, that's an old school sign of, yeah, you're in there. If she wears your t-shirt in the morning, like, that's a sign that you're in there. And that's what we saw tonight with Olivia and Fitz. We saw the lead up to all of that last week when he saved her father, when he honored his girl. And she said, you know what? I want you to go save my father. What did he do? He said, you know what? I'm going to save your daddy. I'm going to save your daddy because your daddy helped bring you to this world and produce such sweet flowing nectar that could have flown from such a body like this. And because he saved her daddy, what did she do? She said, here, I'm providing a full bottle of nectar for you. Nectar of Olivia. You can have this full special bottle of nectar of Olivia. It is pure organic. See, it's USDA organic. No, it is not conventional. No GMOs, no antibiotics. This is free-flowing nectar. And you, sir, have tapped this nectar tree that has not been tapped in such a time, but for such a time as this. And this nectar belongs to you. And nectar belonged to Fitz. And Fitz was made happy. That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what it was, LBJ. And you know, at the end of the day, this nectar has always belonged to Fitz. Let's just go ahead and say it. You know, Olivia will pretend like other people are getting a little chance at it, but at the end of the day, that's been Fitz's nectar. Now, I don't love that. Like I said, I'm always hashtag Timo Lake to the day I die. But I'm going to tell you this, that's Fitz's nectar. And so for both of them, a lot of it was a coming home, LBJ. And you know who else was at home in the White House, or maybe not? Papa Pope. Scene 2 of the show, we see Olivia in the bowels of the White House.
Literally
in the bowels of the White House, talking to her father. Now, we will all recall from the last episode, Eli Rowan Pope, you know, Fitz, he was finally super duper fed up. You know, Fitz gets all worked up and he's about to go do something. And he was about to take Papa Pope out. He was like, you know what? At the end of the day, all that has befallen us that is horrible, I can draw a line back to Papa Pope, and I'm about to take him out of here. And Olivia pleaded with him, again, a nectar-infused plead, okay? She pleads with him, and he, instead of killing Papa Pope, takes him into custody. And so that's what it was today. It was, I mean, he wasn't hanging out in the White House, you know, shooting the breeze. No, he was a prisoner, right? And he is.
But not only, let me say this, not only was he a prisoner in the White House, but can we take a moment and pause for the cause and
Yes.
give a shout out to the high tea that Rowan Pope was enjoying in the bowels of the White House. Did you
Yeah.
see this man had a
Who
full
needs all that fruit?
presentation of
That's
an
right.
indoor high tea? He had pettifores, he had croissants, as Fitz said. He had piping hot tea served in China with the cup and the saucer and the teapot. He had the danishes, he had the tea sandwiches, he had a full tiered presentation and a fresh fruit plate, mind you, in the bowels of the White House. And he was enjoying it with a newspaper. Shout out to you, Papa Pope. Shout out to you.
LBJ, big shout out, because when most of us might think of life in prison and in confinement, we wouldn't think to order high tea. But Papa Pope, I mean, I feel like there'd be a lot of things on my mind and it wouldn't be high tea. But that's exactly what it was. And so we see Olivia sitting down there with him, and she's sitting there, very intense look on her face. And as usual, they're trying to get to the bottom of this. And LBJ, there was something really important about this scene, and I need to get your take on this, and I need to hear what the chat has to say about this. It is Papa Pope being, completely at the mercy of everyone in this episode. I mean, we have known Papa Pope for the last many seasons of this show to be, at the end of the day, someone who can never be under anyone's thumb. And so in this scene, we're watching Olivia and Papa Pope have an exchange. We see Fitz enter the scene, and there's an exchange about, what are we going to do here? We need to get an action plan going. Papa Pope, basically, he says, you know what, guys? There's really nothing for us to do here. He acts like he's about to leave, and Fitz corrects the record. Oh, you're not going anywhere. Okay, Eli, you're my prisoner. And it was just one of those moments, LBJ, of seeing Papa Pope completely under the thumb of everyone else. I mean, what did you feel about that?
I went back to something that I said in the conversation earlier in the season, that there is none higher than Papa Pope in the world of Scandal. And so all of this has thrown us and taken us by surprise, although we've seen Papa Pope go through. And so tonight we had this opportunity to see just how this man was thinking in all of this, right? We've seen these people come in and shake up his world, and now there's this high opportunity for him to come in and take over and figure something out, and try to strategize the fool out of something, right? And so he's got to figure this out. We don't know who this man's cohort is, if he even has one. I think one of the things that I like about Papa Pope is that he has friends, he has associates, he has people that he associates with, right? But when it comes down to him going to bed, aside from like a companion, a love, like his crazy thoughts in his head are his crazy thoughts in his head. And for me, I'm that same way. Like, I'm married, I love my wife loves me. We share these great thoughts, these ideas and things, but I'm a little wacky and weird in my head, and I share my wacky and weirdness with her. And I know that she understands.
I was going to say she knows that. She knows you're wacky.
She knows that I'm wacky. She knows that I'm weird. But there's something to be said when you're in your whack. Like, you can be wacky and weird in your head, and you can work that wacky weirdness out within yourself. And then Rowan Pope, unlike me, doesn't have someone that he can share with. Who's like, don't do that. Don't do that. He doesn't have it. So what does he have to do? He acts upon it. And I'm not saying my wacky weirdness is dark like Rowan Pope says, but there's a similarity there. And I think that's why I'm connected to that character. But what I thought was cool about that is that it served as this moment of power for Rowan, simply by the way that he ended the scene, and the show officially began after the cold open. And he sat down after Olivia told him, like, you're a prisoner now, Dad. Like, these two men are watching you every place you go. You can roam about this entire Fitz told him that. You can roam about this entire government campus. This entire White House is yours, but you cannot leave because essentially you're a prisoner and no one's supposed to know that. So we're doing this solid for you. Do us a solid and just stay down here. Like, you got TV, you got cable, you got high tea down here. If you want beef bourguignon, you can have beef bourguignon later tonight with a selection of wine, whatever you want, Rowan. We can provide that for you. Rowan was so dissatisfied. He's like, man, I didn't sign up for this. I'm Eli Rowan Pope. WTF, right? So he sits down, he grabs his newspaper, and he mumbles, well, at least they gave me at least I had my dinosaur. I was like, shout out to the dinosaur, the Smithsonian. Shout out to the dinosaur. And then he was like, you may leave. And they were sitting there looking at him like, really, Dad? And he's like, really, Rowan? And he's like, leave! And he's screaming, like, the show really got started. And I said, that right there is something we should not forget.
We cannot forget it.
Rowan still has that side, which goes to show you he is relentless. He will not back down. And whatever you think is going to shake him, he will not be shaken. And I think there's only one force that could shake him and take him down, and that's Maya. But will we see Maya? I don't know. That remains to be seen.
Well, LBJ, you are not alone in thinking that she is the one that can come in and save the day. Coffee Light and Sweet in the chat is saying we need Mama Pope to come through and put things in order stat. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Coffee Light and Sweet. I completely agree. I mean, at this point, we need an intervention of that proportion. And LBJ, I'm so happy you focused us on this moment of Papa Pope just emphasizing that leave, because what we have to remember is earlier in that scene, he was saying that he wanted to leave, right? He was saying, guys, it's time for us to throw in the towel. The only way to assure my safety is not to have me sitting down here locked up at high tea. The only way to ensure my safety is for me to leave. He was like, I need to go to Paris. I need to go to Zanzibar. He started listing random sites, right? And so he wanted to leave. And so the fact that all he could do in that moment, LBJ, was to ask them to leave, I mean, it was just completely, the tables have turned, LBJ,
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, another place where the tables have turned is in the bedroom of Gabby, Abby, Red, and Leo. Oh my gosh.
They've turned, but I was just like, why are we dealing with this? I hope that we get to see this Leo moment again. Go ahead, take it away.
Well, I'm going to tell you, LBJ. So let's recap the scene. So again, we resolved the scene with Olivia and Fitz and Papa Pope. With Papa Pope, just again, he's left at high tea. Okay, and then the next thing we're seeing, Gabby, Abby, Red, and Leo in bed. And Gabby, Abby, Red, she's completely stressed out. And Leo turns to her and he says some cliche, "Oh, what did I do? Yada yada yada." And she said, "Guess what? It's not about you. I run America and therefore the world. I have other things on my mind." Long story short, there's a rift, LBJ. And that rift started when this outside force came in and started to become the puppet master for all of the Pope and associates and the leaders of the White House. And so that is starting to become, it's like a wound that's festering. We have to remember that Leo was actually snatched and abused by this shadow group, by Men with Gun and by Devil in a Red Dress. He was snatched and abused by them and has no idea. He has no idea. And so it's the secrecy that's starting to tear them apart. Gabby, Abby, Red can't tell him the truth of what's going on. She can't tell him that he's already been victimized by it. And it's starting to pull them apart. And so, LBJ, I think the reason that they showed that scene, and I need to hear what other people think in the chat, I think the significance of that scene was so that we could watch the relationship fall apart, so that Gabby would have nothing to lose.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why it was just that bit of a scene. Miss Newell, Miss Nerul actually believes the same thing. She says there's going to be a reason for that Abby Leo scene at Larry Brown Jr. Watch what Shonda does. Again, what we say here, the Scandal recap, there is nothing that happens on the screen for fun. Like, this is not jokes and giggles. This is actual reality. Like, this is an alternative universe that we're all living in, and everything happens for a reason on this show, which will later be revealed. So,
LBJ,
there's a reason.
Sweets is saying, I've been saying we need to watch Leo. Wait a second. Are you saying maybe Leo can't be trusted?
Well, let's
let's
get a few fact checkers in the chat room, y'all. Tell us, what wasn't there some shadiness that Leo was involved in prior to him connecting with Gabby, Abby, Red? I believe that Leo was once connected to, was it Verna he was connected to? Somebody help me out. My short-term memory is like at an all-time loss with like lack of sleep with the newborn. and trying to work throughout everything. So somebody help us out in the chat and check us on Leo's further previous shady happenings. Do you think Leo though
He's
But
had many
though
shady.
is savvy enough to be a part of such an operation as the operation that has David Rosen's pants all unzipped.
Well, well, LBJ, Cat Harlem agrees.
Because that's the
You know,
segue right there.
yeah, it is. Cat Harlem says that she also believes that Leo was involved. She says Leo was involved as well. That's why he had that look on his face at the end. But Grace is saying, maybe we're overthinking Leo at this point. And she's basically saying that she saw that whole scene as just a setup to make sure Abby and David reunite. And I see that point. Maybe we shouldn't. Let's not. Again, you never know with Shonda, but maybe we shouldn't overthink Leo.
In the family in the live chat, we've got Sweetest Z, Normina's Harmony, as well as Kat Harlem, both saying Leo was connected to Sally Langston. Love is a liberty, Sally Langston.
That's right.
As well
he
as
was her campaign manager.
Exactly right. I knew there was some shadiness. And then remember, Grace brings out that he was connected to Abby's abusive ex, Abby Red's abusive ex. Remember, we had that moment of her dealing with that. I think that was season 2. Season 2, maybe season 3, when we dealt with that. But we took this moment to kind of segue into something else, to talk about somebody else's pants who were all unzipped, and that was one David Rosen. So we see David Rosen in tonight's episode with his pants zipped, and his pants were zipped when he was in the fields, in the forest, in the lush greenery of maybe, let's say, Rock Creek Park in Washington D.C.
Right.
And David Rosen's standing on the ground talking to Jake. And he's talking to Jake, and he's like, yeah, so you heard about what happened to Lizzie Bear DeGeneres? And he was like, yeah, like, where is she? What's going on? He was like, she's dead. Like, listen, dude, she's dead.
You're standing on her.
Right. And not only is she dead, but you're standing on her. He's like, oh, and he has like this one moment of like respect for the dead. Dude, you slept with this woman. You needn't be just that like disregarding of this woman's dead body under your feet. And then he says to Jake, he says, what about the other bodies? Are the other bodies? He's like, David, don't do it. Because, and I love that moment with David and Jake, because remember it, folks. Let's go back to like season 2 when we started doing this scandal recap. Let's go back to season 3, especially when David Rosen was in the throngs of trying to get down with OPA. Remember, he was like lukewarm, he was gray, and we really didn't know what was going on. And we were like, David, get in there, be a gladiator. Like, don't be scared. Don't be scared of it. Get in there and do it. Like, go do it.
Yeah.
And he never really did it.
No, he didn't.
And David, Jake came in and shut that whole thing down. He was like, dude, I heard about you. You're not part of this. Don't ask me these questions. You little insert expletive there.
LBJ, you're so right. And you know what? It's once again, David, and I will just say, guys, we've lost the sad trombones too. I mean, the whole sound effect panel is gone.
It's terrible. Y'all blame Google. They changed this whole thing. So
because LBJ, I'm just gonna go ahead and sing it anyway. Nobody likes David Rosen. He always gets the short end of the stick, LBJ.
I'm gonna take a sip of the nectar for everybody. I'm opening nectar. I'm opening the nectar of Olivia. So I'm taking a sip.
And I can't even applaud for you, LBJ, because I have no sound effects.
I'm gonna find my own soundboard and play it through my telephone. Hold on.
We really need to. And so, LBJ, so that scene happens. There's another quick snippet scene that happens toward the top of the show. And it was Charlie basically confronting Huck. It was just a real quick moment. Charlie confronting Huck and basically asserting that Huck was potentially having a liaison with Quinn. And of course, Huck is looking dumbfounded, like, oh, no, I didn't. And it was just a little nugget to let us know that there was some suspicion that we saw the suspicion get sown over the last couple of episodes when Huck was dealing with his injuries and Quinn was being caretaker. We saw Charlie start to be a little suspicious of them. And so we saw that come really to life in tonight's episode. So that was also another quick little snippet, LBJ. But then before you knew it, we were right back at the White House. And who's sitting together but Mellie and Devil in the Red Dress? Now, just to remind everyone of the larger context here that we picked up over the last few episodes, this shadow group, we've been calling them the shadow group, the faces of which for us at this point are Devil in the Red Dress and Man with Gun, they're wanting Mellie to be elected, and they have said, listen, Mellie, you'll be elected, but you will be a puppet. We're the boss of you, girlfriend. I'm paraphrasing. And so we see Mellie sitting there with Devil in the red dress, and Mellie's trying to assert a little bit of authority, talking about who her cabinet members are going to be. And Devil in the red dress, LBJ, and the way this actress is so good at just making Mellie look so stupid. She said, oh, look how cute you are. You think you're going to make a decision. You're not going to make any decisions, girlfriend. And so long story short, we see Mellie at that point almost completely give up, LBJ. I mean, what did you think of this exchange between, Devil in a red dress and Mellie? It was another one of those scenes that was brief, but felt significant. Oh, LBJ, you're on mute.
3, 2, 1, and I'm live. So the scene between Mellie and Devil in a red dress is one of those scenes where I thought that this was going to just be, it was filler to the point where somebody needed to get slapped in the face. And I really thought that it was going to be the assistant, right? So she talks about this whole assistant. She's like, yes. Oh, she hands her a computer, like a little Microsoft computer. She's like, here's your laptop, here's your cell phone, here's your folder, here's your work bag, here's everything. And this is your assistant, and we'll be glad to get everything going. And just like you recap tonight, she's telling her, like, this is what's going to happen. Follow my lead. And Mellie's like, well, I want to make this cabinet position recommendation. She's like, your cabinet? She's like, well, these are my recommendations. She's like, your recommendations? You mean our recommendations? You mean my recommendation?
Right.
What's going on? And let me just say, Lady Devil in red dress, she's got this thing where when she talks, she overtalks everything.
I love it. I love it.
It was good to a point, but then I was like, this is becoming too much. She was over talking everything in the scene. Like, she was like, this assistant is more apt to knives and not guns. And then Mellie's like, well, is this computer going to like have all kind of tracking devices and guns and explosives and stuff? She's like, well, just wait and see, Mellie. Like, just watch everything. And I was just like, I felt like there were going to be slaps there because it was a lot to take in that moment. And I thought Mellie was going to have like this moment to rise up and just like throw something at the wall to symbolize the slap that she wanted to give to Devil in a red dress. But what I also appreciated about this scene was that we saw that they were trying. There was another attempt to take over the Republic. There was another attempt to take the power away from the people that we've been used to having the power over the Republic in this entire run of the show. And I said, oh man, are they getting one step closer? Or is this one thing that they're going to have to, one more layer they're going to have to peel back because now they've got another person inside working the White House. And that's what I paid attention to, that there are more people that they're using to infiltrate the sacred and secure space to protect the Republic, who are more detrimental to the Republic then they'll be useful and productive for the Republic. That's what I took away in that scene with Mellie.
LBJ, you're so right, and that the way that you actually phrase that is a perfect segue to how that scene wraps. It wraps with Devil in a red dress basically saying to Mellie, oh, listen, there's another vacancy that we need to be thinking about. And it ain't your cabinet, girlfriend, And she alludes to LBJ this and immediately I'm sure we all just thought, oh my gosh, she's talking about the vice presidency, which at this point we're all thinking of as Jake. It is Jake. Jake is her running mate, right?
Yep.
We even last episode saw a very tender moment with Jake and Mellie where Jake was basically saying, hey, listen, I ain't gonna let nobody get you. I'm gonna hold you down, girlfriend. And Mellie was so comforted by that. So what this was Devil in the red dress basically saying the one thing you thought you could rely on, none of it. And then we see immediately in the next scene, we see the confrontation, LBJ. This is when man with gun walks.
Oh wait, but wait before this confrontation? Can I just say I do love where I was going with her over enunciating everything?
Yes.
She said, "What I love when she said to Mellie, well, look at Betty Bossy Pants." I thought that was so funny. Look at Betty Bossy Pants. That was good. I laughed really hard on that.
And LBJ, she is Betty Bossy Pants. She always thinks she's Betty Bossy Pants. And I have to say another thing that comes to my mind about that over enunciating, I think it's so that we can see the difference in her personas.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
That's the real her. that's over pronouncing every word, super sarcastic. I'm the boss of you. And then she has this whole other persona that she's doing with David Rosen, where she's all soft and sexy and, oh, look, my dress is unzipped. And so I think they're probably overdoing it so we can see the contrast. It might be a tool they're using, LBJ. Who knows? LBJ, did you freeze up?
Nope, I'm here. I was actually looking for a sad trombone effect. Let me tell you, I see y'all are in the chat looking for a sad trombone. Y'all came for the sad trombone. And this is a free platform provided by YouTube and Google. So y'all send them. Go to the FAQs and send a request to them to bring back the effects.
Why would they take it away? Anyway, so LBJ, we then see the confrontation, which is Olivia gets back to OPA and Associates, and
Huck says to her, "There's a man inside you. I don't want you to go meet with him by yourself, Olivia." I was like, "Oh, you're so gentle, Huck. You still got it. There's a man in your office.
LBJ,
by yourself, Olivia."
Please find us some sound effects because I needed to applaud your Huck impression right now. Oh no, I'm gonna have to use my real hands.
I'm joining you.
Okay, so maybe we can still clap. All right.
We can start with emojis. That's what we'll do.
Mrs. Creole Davis.
Start using your emojis. Yes, Mrs. Creole Davis. I see your sad trombone. Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Creole Davis. You caught my vibe. I was thinking the same thing. We will use, instead of having ASL, American Sign Language, we will use ESL, emoji. No, we're going to use EDL, emoji digital language, right? And we're going to chat this thing. Put your sound effects and emojis in the live chat, okay? And we will try our best for all of you watching that aren't live. We'll try to recap all the emoji sound effects that we can while we're watching. Lakeisha Sings is giving the applause. I see you with the emojis. Mrs. Creole Davis definitely came through with the sad trombones. Yes. I see what you did with the trumpets. I dig it.
And LBJ Rakira does not like you making fun of Huck.
I wasn't making fun of Huck. No. So here's the thing. I wasn't making fun of Huck. Y'all remember, I am so team Huck. Like, I'm here for Huck. Y'all know I love Huck. But it was that he returned to the Huck that we know and love, right?
Yeah,
like he was the Huck that was just like, there's a man inside the office. He was even. He was good. Like, Huck was in a good place. He was in a good place. He
really was. And again, a lot of that had to do with Quinn. But anyway, we'll get back to that. And so Peus is there. Man with Gun is there. And Olivia, walks in, boss lady. Okay, you want to talk about Miss Bossy Pants. Olivia walked in doing her full elephant stomp. Y'all know how she stomps in the room. She stomps in and looks him dead in his face, and he starts to introduce himself in the cynical way that he always does. And she says, I know who you are. Okay. And he's, long story short, he basically says, you may know who I am, but you don't know who I'm about to be. And he said, I'm entering the ticket. You need to have Mellie drop Jake so that I can become the vice presidential nominee. And Olivia, she doesn't skip a beat. She doesn't bat an eye. She says, that's not going to happen. And then Man with Gun does what he always does. As soon as someone tries to say, listen, you don't have power over me, he does a little something to show them that he indeed does have the power over them. What did he do with Papa Pope? He leveraged Olivia. He said, I'm watching your daughter. I'll kill her. He said, I'm watching. You remember Sandra Titi? That was something he held over Papa Pope.
Sandra Titi wrapped up like these.
And we've seen it even with Gabby Red. Man with Gun was threatening to kill Leo, right? With Mellie, Man with Gun threatened to kill her children, right? This is his tactic, okay? So he pulls out his old rusty dusty tactic and he opens up his Microsoft Surface, okay? And
product placement.
He even flipped it open all neatly. LBJ, he does his product placement, and what's on there? The video of Jake cleaning up Lizzie Bear DeGeneres' body. Now, shout out to the chat, LBJ, because we here in the Scandalous Scandal recap forecasted that. We said, LBJ, is that LBJ? Is that a doorbell? Who is it? Who is it?
Hi, it's fact checker Frank. Just here to stop by to let you know that wasn't a video that they showed of the potential vice president Jake with Lizzie Bear DeGeneres' body. That was actually a photograph that they showed of Vice President Jake, potential Vice President Jake's with Lizzie Bear DeGeneres' body. Bye from the fake doorbell guy.
Oh, bye, fact checker Frank. I'm so happy to see you back. I wasn't really feeling fact checker Francois, but you know, I'm happy you're back.
Bonsoir, fact checker Francois.
We're happy you're back, Frank. And LBJ, I think we're gonna have to go to the chat on this one because I don't think it was a picture. I think it was a video.
Oh my gosh, guys. Y'all know the good and well that was a photograph of Jake. There was no moving image there.
Which one? Okay, chat, please break this. Please clarify this. I just think it was a video.
Shout out to Love Prince Nelson for bringing in the doorbell. There's a bell emoji and then like the laughs. I see what you did. I love it. Also, she gave you the elephant stomp with the elephant and a pink heel elephant stomping. I love it. Keep living in these emojis, people. I love it.
Yes, see, Google, you will not silence us. We will find a way to have
and Normina's Harmony, Lakeisha Sings, Mrs. Creole Davis, they all come in and let you know that it was a photo. But then Ida Matrix sides with you, Janiyah, and
it's
says,
a video.
No, and then said Suki Sama 6 says, I'm pretty sure it was a video.
Thank you.
Cass said, I thought it moved.
Yeah,
Dan Blakemore said multiple pictures on the surface. Exactly. She scrolled through, and they were time captured images of the moment. It was not a video, folks. Boom, boom, boom. To all of you in the chat, they got it wrong. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, you know what, LBJ, we're gonna let you and you know others take this one, but let the record show.
Let it show
that I have DVR'd this episode, and I will go back, LBJ. And in the event that you are wrong, you will not hear the end of it. Okay, I just want you to know that because I feel like that was a video.
Exactly.
But anyway,
but listen to this though. So Akosua O, hey, what's up, Akosua O? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for joining us.
Everybody, a few other folks have joined us. I see you guys in the chat. We're trying to shout you guys out. Listen, so there was this thing where Olivia's like, Olivia challenged Peus and all of that. He threatened with the photo that you said, Janiyah. But I thought to myself, the photo video is Janiyah. And I think that there was this moment where I thought, Olivia, you're better than that. Huck, you're better than that. You know that there's video, there's a photo, there has to be video. And Akosua says, like, did he forget Lady in Red was Devil in Red dress was the one taping or the one on tape murdering Lizzie Bear. And although they had access to that footage, I'm so sure Huck would have cracked the code and got the footage of her actually committing the murder. Thanks for bringing that out as well, Akosua. I felt the same way.
You're right, LBJ. I agree with that as well. And you know, anyway, we've got to move on.
Wait.
There's so much to dig in on this.
It is. Dan Blakemore says, while the sad trombone is missing, should someone find Jake's sad wife who was probably passed out in a bar in DC?
Man, whatever happened to her?
I need the rim shot for that one.
LBJ, there has got to be an app. Somebody tell us what it is, because we should be able
to.
I
will turn into a full Bobby McFerrin on this thing. Give me a week of rehearsals, and I will be Bobby McFerrin. And this watch Scandal on Thursday. Watch Scandal on Thursday now.
YouTube, Google Hangout. Do you see what you're doing to us? You're forcing us to watch Larry do Bobby McFerrin impressions. Please don't do this to us.
Let me just say, I used to have a goal. I used to try to practice like Bobby McFerrin. I used to watch like anything that came on PBS about Bobby McFerrin or 2020. I used to watch that stuff as a kid and be like, how does that man do that? I really want to do that. And then the guy from Police Academy who used to do all the sound effects. I used to want to be those people. I really did.
Yes, LBJ. And you know
I told you, weird and wacky. That's me.
Yeah, and LBJ, here's what you need to know. None of us are surprised by that. Okay? We all know that you want to be Bobby McFerrin. And LBJ, people in the chat.
When you hit your chest, it's supposed to make a sound. It doesn't work.
LBJ, People in the chat are totally supportive of you.
Thank
Linda
y'all so
Lawson
much.
is giving
Thank you,
you,
guys.
yeah, she's giving you a clap. Okay. And Miss Nyrule, she's completely supportive. She's saying, "Go LBJ with your Bobby McFerrin." You know, so people are supporting you, LBJ. And you know what?
Here's a
Sweet.
little show we watch. It comes on every
Oh
Thursday
gosh.
night. Oh, wait, I'm not gonna get started. Okay,
Please
sorry.
don't
I'm not
start.
gonna derail the chat. I know I
Don't
want
you do it.
to keep
Because
going.
it's so good. Okay, so LBJ, let's keep going. So then the next scene that we see is Jake and Olivia talking. And this is Olivia, who now again, in her confrontation with Peus, she did not miss a beat. Peus is saying to her, "I'm going to be vice president and you're going to make sure of it." And Olivia says, "Oh, no, I'm not, Peus. You're not the boss of me. You're not the boss of any of us." And she gives him the stare down. She stomps him out of her office. End of scene. Her and Huck looking at each other like, "Listen, you talk a good talk, girlfriend. What we gonna do?" They don't have a plan.
That was good today. What are we gonna do?
They don't got a plan. Shout out to anybody who knows what song I was just referencing. That was oh gosh, that's gonna tell our ages. But somebody, whoever knows what song it is
Look,
hilarious.
I'm a millennial. I don't know about you, but I'm a millennial. I made the cutoff. I'm good.
Oh, very lucky you. Lucky you, LPJ.
You're millennial too, and I accept it. You just don't know you're millennial. You're at the top of the chain, but you're millennial.
Okay, I'll go
Yeah.
with that. All right, let's do it. And LBJ, we then see Jake and Olivia talking. And Olivia, again, she had no plan, LBJ. She talked a good game to Man with Gun, but she doesn't have a way to keep Jake in the vice presidency. And so the next thing we see is her talking to Jake and basically saying, "Listen, at this point, we don't want to give them power, but our best move at this point is to do what they say. And it's not us fully giving in and it's not us giving up, but it is the best thing we can do. It is for you to step down, just be head of the NSA. That'll still be helpful, but we have to give them this one." Jake, of course, acquiesces, but he calls her out. He calls her out. He basically says, "Listen, there's a lot more going on here than us managing this shadow group. Does this have a little something to do with," he basically said, "Is that nectar on your lip, Olivia?" Okay, calling out the fact that she's now back with Fitz. And she and Jake go through this dance that they always go through, LBJ. And it breaks my heart. It breaks. Oh gosh, this doorbell is broken. Does anyone know a repairman? Because I feel like this. Where's the repairman emoji? Because this doorbell is not awesome. Who is it?
Hi, it's Fact Checker Frank again.
Hi, Frank.
Jake did not bring up the nectar factor to Olivia until after they had the blow up inside of the White House. Not when Olivia told Jake that he was supposed to resign from being the potential vice president elect for Mellie. Bye.
Oh, thank you,
because that was a key moment after all of that had happened.
Thank you, Fact Checker Frank. I really appreciate that. There's so much we could talk about for the Jake Olivia relationship. You know, a few people in the chat are with me, you know, that there's something there. And other people are saying, like Chef Morel is saying, Jake just needs to get over it, that Liv loves Fitz, you know, and Jake has always been jealous of Fitz. And I agree with you, Chef. But there's something about the potential in the Olivia-Jake relationship that I just can't let go of. I don't know if it's just because, you know, there was a point where he was single and Fitz was married or what. But there's something about a purity of their connection that I keep going back to. Anyway, we talk about that later. But the point is, you know, we are seeing Olivia advise Jake that they have to do what Man with Gun is telling them to do. And then we see Quinn and Gabby Abby Red getting ready for the announcement. Mellie getting ready for the announcement to go ahead on out and to announce who her vice president will be. We see Jake go out, say, "I'm not going to stay on the ticket as VP." And then we see Mellie preparing to go out to say who her new VP is going to be, Man with Gun. And then, LBJ, it's the shakeup. And I need you to take us through that shakeup scene, LBJ.
Woo. So I knew that there would be a moment where I would be called upon and summoned to give a reenactment. I have
is
been
it.
trying to save my energy for this. Candace said, you do realize that they're going to ask you to do this. I was like,
Yes.
babe, I know.
It has to be done. It has to be done. And thank you, Candace.
And I'm gonna
She
try to give it
knows.
my best. I'm gonna try to give
Yes.
it my best. We do
Yes.
the show live. Like
We're like this. Yeah.
the show, we're
Mhm.
still we're still within the next hour after the show. After the show went off the air. So this is live. This is live in living color. So I'll try to give you a recap of everything, and I will go and segue all of this. Buckle up, people. Put your emoji, your roller coaster emojis in there. Hashtag it Shondaland. Hashtag it Larryland. Hashtag it Janaya Land. Hashtag it Scandal Recap Land, because we are going on a ride. Okay, you all have season passes to this moment. That was one of the most epic moments in television, if you ask me.
So good.
So, Devil in Red Dress comes into Fitz's office, and she comes into Fitz's office like, hello, how are you? I over enunciate my words in everyday life, and I hope that you are the one that knows that I am the one. And he's like, I'm Fitz. I know. I'm calm. I'm chill. I'm here for you. You're not here for me, because you have no idea what I've got coming down the pike for you, ma'am. And then she's like, oh, well, let's just get this show started. Shall we give the press a 2-minute warning? A 2-minute warning. And inside the Oval Office, where she comes sauntering in, is Gabby Abby Red and Mellie. And this Mellie is not moonshine Mellie. This is not smelly Mellie. This is not fried chicken Mellie. This is President-elect Mellie, right? Because Mellie is the president-elect at this point in time, who owes us an announcement of a vice presidential candidate. And so at this point, Mellie is under the guise that she is to go out and announce Peus as her vice presidential candidate. Gabby Fitz comes in and tells her, like, look, you have no idea. Olivia's like, yeah, boo, nope, it's not going to happen. Gabby Red's like, nope, it's not going to happen. They all saying it's either verbally or non-verbally. And so Mellie is a believer and fearful. So she's also fearful Mellie, because she's like, wait, don't do it. Like, please don't do it. Tempt her. She's a bad lady. She killed Lizzie Bear DeGeneres. And then she asked if we need to give the press a 2-minute warning, and they're like, oh well, we should. And then boom, in comes Secret Service, in comes the police. Everybody take cover right now. It's an emergency taking place in the White House right now. We need you all to scatter. Follow us, yeah, ma'am. You come with us, ma'am. You come with us, sir. You go with her. Olivia, you go with him. And ladies, lose your heels. Ladies, it was like Sister Act 2. Your teacher says take off your robes. Take off your robes. Your teacher says take off your robes. They were like, ladies, lose the heels. Ladies, lose the heels.
Yeah.
Ladies, lose the heels. They're all walking around with heels in their hand, walking all lopsided and stuff. Like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Meanwhile, Olivia's like, walking in my heels. I don't care. I know what's going on.
Yeah, elephant stomp. Elephant stomp.
Yeah, elephant stomp. Elephant stomp.
Yeah.
And so Olivia's elephant stomp, and they're all walking lopsided with their heels. And then they're like, what's going on? And they say there's a drone hovering outside of the White House, and there's a potential threat there. We think that there might be a bomb connected to this drone. They're like, oh my God. And so people start going all which kind of ways in the forks in the road of the hallways of the White House, right? And Fitz and Olivia go one way, Mellie goes another way, and then Gabby Red and Devil in Red Dress go that way. Devil in Red Dress is like, wait a minute, I need to be with. She says, wait a minute, I need to be with the president-elect.
I go where the president goes.
I go where the president-elect goes. I over enunciate everything. So you can hear my proclamations. And so she's talking about this entire thing, and she's going. They're like, ma'am, girl, shut up, come with us. Like, just go. You're gonna be safe, right? They take her into the bowels of the White House with Gabby Red and 2 Secret Service agents. They take Mellie to one location. They take Fitz and Olivia to another location, right? We find out that there's this drone hovering in the White House airspace. Then we cut to OPA. Who's operating this drone in the White House airspace? It is Fitz. It is Huck, and Huck is like playing video games. He's like a full gamer, like on YouTube, like twisting stuff, looking at coordinates. Got this thing hovering over the White House airspace. Quinn is on the phone with Charlie. Charlie's real suspect, guys. By the way, this entire time we've really all been saying watch Charlie. Quinn's on the phone with Charlie, thinking that he's like weird, trying to ask Huck, is Charlie weird to you right now? He's like, no. Oh, Quinn, Robin, Lindsay, listen. I'm playing with this drone in front of the White House, and you to go to him. Like, we'll deal with Charlie after I deal with this, but first I have to deal with this first, and then you can deal with Charlie, okay? Like, that's what you can do. That's exactly what you can do. Then all of a sudden, Lady in Red, Devil in Red dress gets put in the bunker with Gabby Abby Red. She's like, do you see me on my cell phone? I have no signal on my cell phone. I need to be able to get in contact with Mellie Grant at all times.
Yes.
I can't get in contact with Mellie Grant. Why don't I have a signal on my cell phone? Mellie has no clue what's going on, guys. What's happened? They take Mellie into a room inside the White House. The double doors fling open, and all of a sudden you see rise from the chairs Olivia. You see Fitz. You see Cyrus. You see Marcus. You see Jake. You see who else is in the room? There were like all these people that we've seen who are I call it OPA and friends. Yes. And they stood up from their chairs and stood erect and at an angle like they were the Incredibles. And they said, "We're here to save the day." All they needed, I saw symbolically capes flying from all their backs. And she walked in like, whoa, what is this? What's going in? What's going on? Mellie, they're running a play, and you had no clue of what was going on. And they said, Mellie, we're running a play. We're running a full play to try to take you out. And she's like, oh,
take you back. Take you back.
Take you back. She's like, oh, I had no clue. It's like cut to commercial. Everybody's like, Twitter blows up. Twitter's epic. Twitter doesn't know what's going on. Mind you, there's a press conference that took place right before this where Marcus Walker was inside of the White House press room briefing the press. So all this hustle and bustle happens on the heels of the press just getting a briefing from the White House press secretary. By the way, one of the best press conferences we've seen coming from the White House in 100 days or so. I'll say myself. I'll put that out there. Then we move on to they get word of the drone. Huck is controlling the drone. We talked about that. Then Mellie tries to take over when we come back out of the break. Mellie tries to take over and strategize and gladiate this entire thing. Mellie, you have never been dubbed Gladiator Mellie from anyone who watches this show or anyone who's inside of the show. So not at any point should you try to gladiate anything. You are Pinocchio and others are Geppetto. You have no strings to hold you down. So you are supposed to do what they tell you to do.
Yes.
So they all sit down after Mellie tries to take this whole thing over. And all of a sudden, who comes walking into the room? The double doors swing open again. Dun, da, 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 another Incredible comes in with a cape flying in the wind. Who is it? One Eli Rowan Pope, y'all.
Oh gosh, and LBJ,
what happens after this? Go ahead.
LBJ, I have to just pause you, and we need you to keep going, LBJ. The chat is like so supportive of you right now. We are loving the Incredibles. We are loving Sister Act. It is so good to us.
Take
LBJ.
off your robes. Your teacher says take off your robes. I don't know. She's like, I don't know. I don't know. Just take off your robes.
And she has her finger on her earpiece. I don't know. Just take off your robes. Just take them off.
Whatever happened to her career? Who is she? I always wonder where that lady is. Like, what does she ever do?
Let's Google "Woman in Wings of Stage" from Sister Act 2. Who was she? We'll never know.
They were like, they're good. They're really good.
That movie was so good. Anyway, so LBJ, this is important. This is important because what we are actually seeing right now, LBJ, is what we forecasted last week on the Scandalous Week.
Come on, talk about it, Janiyah. It makes me feel that feeling. Talk about it.
Last week, LBJ, we said that this outside force was going to be the thing that brought them all together. And we said there was going to be a moment where they all would sit together and strategize. And LBJ, we were completely right. So this OPA and friends, LBJ, in my notes, I was calling it the council. You know, it was like the council gathered, LBJ. And you know what? We forecasted it. We saw it coming. Keep going, LBJ. Keep going.
We did. I said, Solange Knowles, you were prophetic with the title of your album, calling it A Seat at the Table, because in this moment in time in Scandalland, Shondaland and Larryland and Janiyah Land and LBJ and Janiyah Land in the Scandal Recap Land, they all had a seat at the table. It was like cranes in the sky. They all had this cranes in the sky.
I'm doing now random robotic, or choreography. Cranes in this, like the choreography is quite random. Please continue. No, you didn't like. You didn't like my choreography? Sorry.
It was more like a praise dance in the sky. What you were doing?
I was trying to do it.
That was a youth Sunday dance. That was a youth Sunday dance.
This is Youth Sunday right here, LBJ. This is
denim and white, denim bottoms, white top. Youth Sunday dance.
That's right. LBJ, keep going. Papa Pope comes in, and what happens, LBJ?
Dude, listen. Papa Pope comes in, and he joins the conversation. So bear with me as I try to get through this, guys. All right. So, Rowan comes in, and they're like, "What is he doing here? What's going on?" And Rowan comes in. And he joins the conversation. He's like, I invited him to the conversation. So Rowan now has a seat at the table.
Not that he wants to, LBJ. Right. Not that he wants to. Lakeisha Sings is calling that out.
Yeah, I hear you, Lakeisha Sings. No, Rowan walked up like, what's going on up here? What do you want me for? Why do I? Rowan slips in and out of shuck and jive every now and then sarcastically. So he's almost like, well, what am I doing up here, boss? You ain't what you call me up here, boss? What you want my attention for? Is this how you want me to talk to you, boss? Like that Rowan will slip in and out of that in a moment's notice, and we know that he will do that, right? But it's for a reason, and he did that tonight. And so Rowan essentially is just like, okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? And then he's like, okay, you know what? Let me lay down a few hammers here. He says, you know what? I shot Frankie Vargas. Who would you like me to shoot now? And they're like, oh, shoot. Like, they're looking like, oh. And I think Marcus is like, well, like he didn't know that he shot Frankie Vargas. I'm sitting in the room with Frankie Vargas' killer. Cyrus found out at that time, too, that Rowan killed Frankie Vargas. People who did not know that Rowan killed Frankie Vargas found out in that moment in time that he killed Frankie Vargas, guys. That's what happened in that moment, right? He's like, I shot Frankie Vargas. Who do you want me to shoot next? Is that what you brought me up here for? And then Olivia's like, Dad, no, listen, this is not what's going on. What you got me up here for? Oh, let me guess. I know what it's for. She's like, Dad, we need no, honey. No. I want him to say it. I want him to say it. Come on. It's a Fitz. Come on. He was like, come on. Say it. I want him to say it. Go on. And he's like, we need your help. Fitz, Rowan. Come on, go on. I know there's more. There's more. And then Fitz essentially asks Rowan to help this entire council, as Shania calls them, the people who have a seat at the table. He asks him to help them. He's like, listen, we know that you have the expertise. We know you have the stamina. We know you have the wisdom to get us through this. I need you to please help us. And Fitz essentially gives the swan song to Rowan. And Rowan looks him eyeball to eyeball and is listening very intently the entire time. And he takes a pause. He takes a breath and he says, no. And Fitz is like, you know what? I knew I shouldn't have brought this fool in here to begin with. Rowan says, I won't do it because it's a suicide mission. I will not be a part of this suicide mission. So then Marcus, people are talking and asking all these different things. Then here comes Marcus Walker. They're trying to figure out, well, how are we going to make this whole thing work? How do we make it work? Mellie's like, we should have never been been a part of Defiance. Marcus says, what's Defiance? What's Defiance? And then all of a sudden, they're going back and forth. Sad trombone for that.
Sad trombone for Marcus.
Exactly.
Marcus is not in the loop.
Right. Hashtag Marcus, keep your mouth shut. Hashtag Marcus, become a sponge and listen to what they're saying.
Right.
Marcus, be quiet and listen to get all the information.
That's right. Be a fly on the wall.
Right. Marcus, be a fly on the wall. He's like, what's Defiance? Marcus, shut up. Don't say that, right? So then they're going back and forth, and then Cyrus gets upset, and he was like, why don't you shoot Mellie next? Because Mellie's like, I knew we shouldn't have been in the fight. He's like, shoot her next. And that's what Cyrus tells Rowan, shoot her next. And all of a sudden, Rowan goes, worthless. They're like, oh, silence. Whoa, he's speaking. Everyone in this room, as in you, pointing to Cyrus, as in this inconsequential, futile attempt to get rid of the problem at hand. And they're like, oh my gosh, this man's about to lose it. Does he have a gun? Are we going to be shot? Should we all keep calm? I think we can keep calm because we're all on the level playing field right now. Then Fitz leans up. He's like, listen, dude. The only reason you are alive right now, the only reason you are not arrested, the only reason I have you locked up and shipped away and potentially killed and waterboarded and everything else is because of your daughter. You need to be in this room, have a seat at this table, and show your daughter some respect. He looked
Wrong
at
thing
her
to say.
like, he looked at him like, huh? Me show my daughter respect? My daughter, he in that look, he said, my daughter has my respect, and I have her respect. Like, we have a mutual respect for each other, is what he looked at him and said non-verbally. Then he says to Fitz, Rowan to Fitz, he says, what about you, Mr. President? Should I respect you? I mean, a man who could have had arrested his son's killer, but you traded it for a chance to roll in the hay. You know what, Mr. President? I think I think I'm just cash to you, Mr. President. I think I'm just a wrinkled dollar bill at your feet, and thrown at your feet like a stripper. You should know about that from your daddy. That's what he said. That's what he shifted into the shuck and jive joint. And he looked at him like, oh man, I'm about to come and get you. And they pulled him back because he came for daddy, the deceased daddy. And he said, Rowan went to Olivia, and he said, you know what, Olivia? There's a single word that could sum this entire thing up. There's a single word. He says, and I hear it, I've only heard it uttered by a few men, Olivia. That word is mercy, which is the title of tonight's episode, guys. Mercy is the title of tonight's episode. He said, I normally have to lean in forward, and I have to hear it muttered between their lips, shrouded by anguish and shrouded by undoubtedly fear and marked by shame. And the moment it is whispered, Olivia, the agony dissipates and it subsides. Whenever I listen to the word mercy, I relent. I relent, and it remains to be seen. All of these tired, desperate, unfortunate men, Olivia, now know what they've known for a long time, Olivia. They lost. Referring to everybody in the room, he called them all losers in this game they've been playing these almost 8 years in the White House, plus the campaign season leading up to all that got them into the White House before. #Defiance failed.
Yes.
And then Olivia's like, this is too much. This is too hot for TV. Olivia calls for a 5-minute break. And there was so much more that happened in that scene. I really tried to capture all of what Rowan said.
LBJ, listen, you are getting every hand clap emoji that we can. Actually, I'm going to give you a real life clap. LBJ, that was so good. And LBJ, I am going to recap all of the small conversations that happened. And then we need to come back to you so you can wrap up what happened with the panel, with the council. Okay? And so the council, and I don't know whether you said this, LBJ, the council has a time constraint. They only had about 75 minutes to finish this conversation, have these confrontations with each other, and to get a plan together. The council got together with no plan in place. The council gets together, and they're trying to use this time to get a plan together to figure out how they're going to take Mellie back. And they only have 75 minutes to do it. And so after Papa Pope comes in, drops the mic the way LBJ just did, and again, hand clap emoji. LBJ, please look in the chat and see all the love.
Thank you. No, I see it. I'm typing it right now. I'm scrolling through. I see y'all. Thank you so much. That is so nice of you. I really wish I could have given like all y'all. I wish I could have given the drama of it all, but I wanted to really hit those words that Rowan was saying because they were on point. And let me just say that scene right there, and we're going to go back to these little mini conversations post the council meeting, Janiyah.
In the middle of the council meeting.
Right, in the middle. That scene right there, to me, shut down every single table scene that people have ranted and raved over for years. I'm talking about from Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor to you Tyler Perry fans to those table scenes they do there. We always look for a table scene when people come together in those kinds of moments, right? There's always the table, and people say, did you see the table scene? Did you see the White House scene that Shonda delivered tonight on Scandal? Shout out to Shonda Rhimes for that council moment. I loved that moment on tonight's show.
And then naming the episode Mercy, a line from that scene.
Mercy, mercy, mercy. Look at here, look at here, look at here.
So Papa Pope comes in, he drops the mic, and then the council slightly breaks. Sorry, I dropped my paper. The council slightly breaks up. Okay, there are a lot of small conversations happen. I'm gonna go through them really quickly. There's a small conversation between David and Fitz. And what are they coming to terms with in this conversation? they're both coming to terms with the fact that they like powerful women. Fitz talks about, he looks to his left and he looks to his right and he sees like the Stepford wife kind of woman. And he's like, why can't I be into that? But at the end of the
Sorry,
day,
I'm joking. Sorry.
LBJ, we choke on mute. We've talked about this. Thank you.
I'm choking on mute. Sorry.
You choke on mute. Please choke on mute. And let the record not show you're choking. Thank you. And so we see David and Fitz both concluding that, yeah, they do keep chasing around with these powerful women and they find themselves in these constant ongoing power struggles, but they also acknowledge that it is those women that have made them who they are. And yeah, David, we know you're talking about Gabby Abby Red. And Fitz, we know you're talking about both Olivia and Mellie in that moment when you're talking about powerful women. Number 2 side conversation is between Cyrus and Papa Pope. Cyrus and Papa Pope, they find themselves down in the wine cellar of the White House. Oh, and they're drinking the good stuff, okay? That good White House basement wine, all right? And what ends up happening is that they're sharing with each other, just the irony of the fact that of all the way that they have lost power and the fact that they're now in the basement, used to be running things, didn't even need to physically be in the White House to be running the world. And now they're physically in the White House and at everyone's mercy. And at the same time that they're sitting there and bonding, LBJ, there's an undercurrent. And that undercurrent is Cyrus, again, still just being in the wake of just learning that Papa Pope is the one that killed Frankie Vargas. So we see Cyrus try to kill Papa Pope. Long story short, Cyrus, you get a sad trombone because no, nobody kills Papa Pope. Sorry, Cyrus, that didn't pan out. Papa Pope flipped on him so fast and essentially said, oh, sorry, Cyrus, I won't be getting killed today. And at the end of it, we're just watching Cyrus still continue to mourn for Frankie Vargas. That's all that was. The next side conversation was between Olivia and Jake. And LBJ, this is the one that you were just the fact checker Frank helped me to understand earlier.
Yes.
This is now the moment where Jake confronts Olivia to ask about the extent to which her emotion for Fitz is involved in her motives at this point. She says to him, listen, please set that aside. We need to find a way to get over our history, my history, and potential future with Fitz. We need to set all that aside and focus right now on Mellie and getting and saving her and therefore saving all of us. And she goes as far as to say to him, LBJ, listen, I saved him, meaning Fitz. I saved you, and now I have to save Mellie. She owns it, LBJ. She takes ownership of all of it. That scene, we could do a whole 30-minute chat on that scene, LBJ, of Olivia and Jake sitting there trying to reconcile Olivia's narcissistic, power thing, and then her obsession with Fitz. There was so much there.
And I think 10 minutes of that conversation and 10 minutes of that 30-minute conversation could be all about the nectar factor, because Jake walked in there and he sensed it, he felt it, he tasted it, he could touch it. He knew that the nectar was flowing in the White House, and he did not have part of that. And he always is like, why do you continue to go back to this dysfunction? And that's what he never understands about Olivia. Keep going. You're doing a very good job.
And LBJ, we could spend so much time on this. We're over time, LBJ. But you know what? There was one more side conversation, and then LBJ, I'm going to hand it back to you to take us through that end of the council. We had a sidebar with Mellie and Marcus. And Mellie and Marcus, essentially, again, hashtag nectar flowing free, okay? Marcus comes and finds Mellie, and he has a moment with her where he gives her that "you my boo" pep talk. We've all had that pep talk, or we've given that pep talk. We've been on the receiving end of that pep talk. And you know what else? This is also us seeing the depth of this connection between Mellie and Marcus. And we see Marcus once again being the hashtag Mellie whisperer. Before he started talking to her, she was in despair, had no purpose in her life whatsoever. And Marcus says to her, hey, boo, you my number one. And you the number one for the United States of America and therefore the world. You got this, boo. And she turns to him and says, I do got this, boo. I'm paraphrasing. And so then Mellie, she is once again full of steam and energy, somehow has found her resolve, and she storms back into the council, LBJ. And that is when the council is reconvened. Take it away, LBJ.
The council is reconvened, and shout out to Janiyah for bringing us through that so rapidly. She gave us a TSA pre-version of all those many conversations that took place there. Thank you so much, Janiyah. Hand claps for Janiyah and emojis.
Oh God, LBJ, you know me well enough to know. Everybody in the chat knows I want to dig in on those scenes so badly.
Because there were all these little nuances that were there, right? But if we really delved into those nuances, we would be here until probably like 3 a.m. Eastern trying to talk about all of that and what's to potentially come of those different conversations. Because right now we've got these little factions that took off.
Yes.
And what I will say is that this whole council moment reminded me of going to a retreat, like those corporate retreats, or going to like those work events where it's like you come to the plenary session, you come to the big workshop, and then you have your breakout session. And we had all these little breakout sessions. We're supposed to go and do these small group conversations and then come back and report. Well, they came back and reported.
Yes.
And the group came back, and it was not a full gathering of the group, but the group came back. And what ended up happening at the end of the comeback, they said, you know what, Mellie, they said, you know how to make this whole thing work, how this whole thing can come to pass. We need to change the game and make them, and we got to fight. We got to go to war with these people. We got to go to war with the folks who want to kill us. Mind you, Papa Pope was not in the room at this time. And Mellie said, I'll name my vice president. They say, okay, well, who will it be? They looked around the room, and Olivia goes, it needs to be someone pure. It needs to be someone who will stand with us and who will fight with us. Who will be this candidate? Now, what we failed to mention in tonight's Scandal Recap was that there was a moment in the Talking Head show early in the episode where the widow of Frankie Vargas sat there. Her name is Luna Vargas, and she sat on this Talking Head show and she called for the White House to unite the Republic. She called for them to unite America, bring us on the same playing field, and do this not just for her husband's honor, but for the sake of unity and for the sake of liberty and freedom. Shout out to all the lovers of liberty who were watching that little bit there, because that was a bit of foreshadowing. Remember, we don't see anything on the show that's not right. Cut to come later. So we saw this woman talking, whom we have not seen talk a lot in the show at all. And she says, this is what I'm calling on the White House to do. Little do you know, less than an hour later, because we're still watching the show, Mellie Grant says, this is who I want to be my vice presidential candidate, Luna Vargas. And they come out and they have this whole woman power hug. The applause start going. People are like, what's going on? And deep down in the bowels of the White House still reside Devil in Red Dress, Gabby Red, and the two Secret Service agents. And were there three or were there two? Anyway, there's Secret Service down there.
There's a couple. Yeah.
They're down there manning the door. They go down there, they're watching the press conference talking about the whole drone is now landed, it's secure, there's no bomb on the drone. And then, oh, wait, there's an announcement coming from the president-elect, and Gabby Red's in there, and Devil in the Red Dress is like, what's going on? What she's going to talk about? And she says, I'm announcing my vice presidential candidate. The vice presidential candidate, Devil in the Red Dress, has a problem with the sardine and nectar sip. Nectar break. Oh, there sure is some good nectar. Thank you, Papa Pope, for providing the nectar for us tonight. And so essentially, Devil in Red Dress is like, you must want to die, Gabby Red. And all of a sudden, who comes elephant stomping into the bowels of the White House system? It's one Olivia Carolyn Pope. And Olivia Carolyn Pope comes in and says, you thought you had me. You had us. You thought you were one step ahead of me. But I'm a black woman, and I'm always one step ahead of you, man. And we strategized the fool out of this entire thing. And if you thought you were going to take me, if you thought you were going to take this from me, you got another thing coming, man. And she looked at her like, well, you haven't seen the last of me. Do you like being a Secret Service agent? Do you like being alive? I've got something for you. You'll never live this. And Olivia's like, listen, I'm with Mellie. Mellie's with me. I'm her chief of staff. I'm running this. You do what I say. And at this point, you are our prisoner. Secret Service, lock her up. What shall we do, Gabby Red? Shall we take her to Guantanamo? She's like, oh yeah, maybe let's waterboard her. Let's take her there and do whatever we want to do with her. And she's now a prisoner of the United States of America. Thus, the end of the episode.
LBJ, there's one more teeny little thing that happened before the episode ended, which was just Quinn and Huck having a moment where Huck says to Quinn, listen, the reason Charlie hasn't been around is that he feels like you and I have something going on.
Yes.
And then he uses his Spidey tools, finds Charlie.
He pings his cell phone. He pings his cell phone using the GPS tracking device.
Using the tracking, he triangulates, and then he sends Quinn to Charlie.
Yes.
Where Quinn professes her love for Charlie in a way that we have never seen before. She basically says, yeah, you did see a little something between me and Huck. That's love, boo, because I will always have love for him. But at the end of the day, it's not the love I have for you. So we have seen Charlie profess his love for Quinn in a very emotional way. This is our first time seeing her reciprocate. Now, not that we need to be trusting Charlie, because like we have talked about, and the chat has said it already tonight and many times on prior occasions, Charlie, hashtag, you can't be trusted. Nope. But at the same time, we did see Quinn do a really, a sincere profession of love. And LBJ, and then that's the whole, that we recapped the whole episode.
There was that whole bit with Charlie and Quinn though, like that was real suspect, guys. Again, we are watching Charlie. We are still on Charlie watch as a Scandal Recap family. We will not let Charlie out of our sight. He will continue to be watched. Janiyah, any takeaways and predictions from the episode?
LBJ, there was one note that I made, and I said, you know what? This is going to be my takeaway for tonight. And it was in the scene where we were watching Cyrus and Papa Pope down in the basement and just being completely without power. And LBJ, for me, it was one of those things where you start to remind yourself about what it means to live life in the shadows, all of these people who have been so powerful, they have not been powerful in a front street kind of way. When you're powerful in the shadows, there's nothing out in the system that can help you and that you're accountable to, right? You're only accountable to yourself. That's the same thing that's just happened now with Devil in the Red Dress, right? Because she was being puppet master behind the scenes, when she's now in jail, no one's going to miss her. We don't even know who you were out here in the world. And so anyway, so it's about something, to me, it's about the flaw of life in the shadows. It is whatever you're going to do, own it, be who you are, be on Front Street. There is nothing good that can come from hiding a piece of who you are, even if you are hashtag evil, like all these characters I was just listing. But at the end, the takeaway, LBJ, is just about a life in the shadows is not a life fully lived.
I completely and totally agree. So I think that we also have to take a look at, for me, I think we need to pay attention to what Olivia said at the very end of the episode. Her last line, I think this episode was, she said to Devil in the Red Dress, she said, you can't take Olivia Pope. Olivia Pope takes you. And I think that was the essence of Scandal. Tonight, my takeaway was that we returned to our greatness, that we returned to what attracted us to this show. And it was this woman who was behind the scenes, but this woman who was all powerful in these various situations in individuals' lives. And I loved watching Olivia say that to Devil in Red Dress, because we had a chance to really see what it was like for Olivia to be back in the saddle and back in the saddle and thriving. We are a group of people who love to see Olivia thriving. We feel some kind of way when she's taken hostage. We feel some kind of way when she's not on her game. We feel some kind of way when she's caught up in a closet, when she's trapped in a closet, when she's trapped with the president, she's trapped in a closet, a broom closet in the White House. getting done up, letting her nectar flow for no good reason. And then she compares herself to slave women in the White House, and she's sitting on the Truman balcony, and the woman ate fried chicken, who's really the wife, but she can't eat the fried chicken on camera because she's a black woman. We don't want to see her like that. We want to see her in her Olivia-ness. And when she said that tonight, she was in her Olivia Pope-ness. And we appreciated that tonight. I appreciated that. I think you all appreciated that as well about Olivia.
Yes, we did.
Here's the thing, though. You can't take Olivia Pope. Olivia Pope takes you. Who Olivia Pope has still not really been able to take, who she wanted dead, was her father. And we have to watch Rowan Pope. We have to watch Charlie. We have to keep our eyes out on these two individuals. Some of you have even said we need to keep our eye out on Luna Vargas. I think she might be disposable like Leo was disposable, and we might see them die the next episode. But I think that there's something with Rowan that remains to be seen, and we've got to keep watching Rowan, because I think Rowan might have made a plan with these people to outsmart them. Because remember, as I said earlier, Rowan is weird and wacky like me in his head, and Rowan likes to work things out, and he doesn't have a wife right now to be like, baby, don't do that. Don't do that.
Let's talk this through. Let's talk this.
He's not talking anything through. He's working on this whole thing, and this is what's going on. So all that to say, Rowan Pope is to be watched. Rowan Pope has made a deal to take over again. Cyrus reminded us of that, and it's going to prove itself to be true next week. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. Continue to have the conversation. You know we love it. I love the comments in the on the YouTube videos afterwards. I come back and read them and respond to you. I screenshot them, send them to Janiyah. I'll also come back and tell you what she says, because Janiyah is still Grandma Janiyah, who's also she's the only millennial who's a grandmother. And she doesn't mind being a millennial grandmother, and that's fine. So I send that to her flip phone, and she reads the screenshots, and she
my niece helps me. My niece helps me read it. My neighbor.
She's in the young people's ministry, and she helps her read her flip phone text messages. So thank y'all so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I know this chat ran long. Oh my gosh, everybody! We love you so much.
Y'all hang out for the entire conversation. Thank you so much.
Listen, so good.
Keep the conversation going. I'll hang out in the chat with you guys for a little while afterwards. We will talk to you next week. Tell a friend about the Scandal recap, and I'll hang out and tweet with the West Coast too, and talk to them afterwards. So for those of you who watched the other show where we chatted last week, let's chat there again tonight. Let's find some more people that we can engage with for the Scandal recap. Thank y'all so much. We love you. Good night. Bye.
Good night.